Hey there, it's Dr. Mary Barbera here for our 24th day in a row of our live sessions. I am excited that you're here, and if you are with us, if you could in the comments let me know, or if you're watching the replay, you can also type in the comments where you're viewing from, and let me go get our friends from the other platform, and we will get started with answering your questions. And I am Dr. Mary Barbera here, and we are on our 24th day live here. I am doing a live session every single day in March in anticipation of my brand new book coming out, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism. It will be out on Tuesday, March 30th. In hardback, Kindle, and Audible with me reading the book. So if you are here in the comments, if you can let me know, that would be great. Today I'm going to cover the 4 steps of the Turn Autism Around approach. So if you have a question, I might be able to use that question to answer, to use the 4-step of Turn Autism Around approach. And all right, Alania, 24th day. I'm not sure if she's been on 24 days. I know she's been on a lot from Massachusetts, and Anish has been on a few times for sure. Daria, very excited about next week to receive my copy of your new book. Greetings from LA, California. I have been to Los Angeles. I have been to Massachusetts. Hi from New Jersey. I have been to New Jersey. In fact, I was just in New Jersey at the beginning of this week doing my lives from New Jersey. Ria is here. Dolores, Grandma Dolores is here. Liz is here. Lula is here. Lula is from Australia. Don't see Lily Daisy yet, but hopefully she won't break her streak. She's been here every day. So thanks for joining me again today. Let me know. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I am going to talk about the 4 steps of the Turn Autism Around approach, which are labeled in chapter 14, which is the very last chapter. There's whole chapters on these steps, but really at the end I wanted to kind of pull it together, give you the 4 steps. And I use the 4 steps to answer questions. So today I'll take a few random questions, no particular topic, and I'll show you how I apply the 4-step Turn Autism Around approach to help solve any struggle. So for those of you that haven't been to a live session, don't know me, I am Mary Barbera. I fell into the autism world over 2 decades ago when my firstborn son, Lucas, started showing signs of autism, was diagnosed the day before he was 3. I've transformed from a parent who had no idea anything about autism to 2 decades later. I am a board certified behavior analyst, best-selling author, online course creator, podcaster. My podcast is called Turn Autism Around, anywhere you listen to podcasts or on my website. Okay, we have Maryland, North Carolina, Jamaica, Wilkes-Barre, Ireland. Ireland is on my bucket list, and I've never been there, so I will be coming your way soon. Ordered the book, can't wait, Liz said. Texas is here. Ria's here. Okay, I don't see any general questions, so if you are here and you have a general question you want to ask in the comments. And I am going to go over the 4 steps of the approach, and then I will answer your questions based on the 4 steps. Okay, so step number 1 is assessment. And I did do a whole live on this on March 4th, day 4 of my lives. So you can go after this, watch all my previous lives if you want, marybarbera.com/Facebook or /YouTube. Okay, so the first step is all about assessment. And the first step to solving any problem is assessment. And I don't just mean problem behaviors, I mean lack of talking, lack of social skills, self-care deficits. So we have the one-page Turn Autism Around assessment form, which is in the book. And I hammer assessment very hard throughout the book. There's a feeding assessment, a potty assessment, a sleep assessment. We can't really solve any problem without assessing. We also, not just the one-page assessment form, we also do the self-care checklist, which was created by Dr. Mark Sundberg. We also do, I have a sleep assessment, like I said, like specific assessments. We do a language sample. We do baseline videos to give us a snapshot of where your child is at. Also, as part of the assessment, we have to look at what, especially for a young child, what are the typical milestones that are expected and what is your child doing and what is the gap there. So are they functioning at a 3-year-old level, or are they chronologically 3 functioning at a 9-month-old level, or are they 36 months functioning at a 30-month-old level? Those are 2 different issues because one has a huge gap and one has just a mild delay. We also, as part of the assessment, have to look at medical issues and speaking with your child's physician. It may require blood work, hearing tests. It may require medications in some children to really help the situation. So step number 1 of the Turn Autism Around approach is assessment. Step number 2 is planning. This is based on your assessment. You make a plan. So if you have a 2-year-old child that's not doing speaking, not imitating, not touching body parts, and you want to start with potty training and they're 2 or 2.5, I would really recommend you put the potty training on the back burner until you can get these more basic skills in place and prerequisites. And as I'm talking and as I'm giving you some strategies to think about, please know that everything comes out of my mouth during these lives, everything in my book, everything in my online courses is for informational purposes only. I can't really tell you what to do because I don't know your child or client. And so this is just information purposes only. Step 1 is assessment. Step 2 is planning, making sure your goals are appropriate too. Step 3 is all about teaching and implementing procedures in general. We're going to have a lot of procedures. I'm a big believer in table time, pairing up the table, teaching at the table, also teaching away from the table. We want to spend 95% of our time preventing problem behaviors. We want to be positive, 8 positives to every negative. And in general, that's the basic teaching methodologies, although for those of you, there are probably 1,000 or more strategies or tips in this book that you can use. But in general, we want to be positive, we want to prevent problem behaviors, and we want to be constantly looking to move forward wherever you're at. And then the 4th step, which I talked about yesterday in the Facebook, YouTube lives, is evaluating progress by using easy data like the calendar data, ABC data, how to use a clicker to keep track of progress. And I covered all that last night. But we want some kind of data collection, as simple as can be, to make sure we are going in the right direction. Okay, so let me see if I can take a couple questions and apply the 4 steps. All the details for how to order this book is at turnautismaround.com. There is just hours left to join our book launch team, which is a special bonus if you're not already in there. Go to turnautismaround.com, fill out your customer number and your email address and your name, and come join us there. Okay, here's a question. How important is ABA services, as my son has been diagnosed in 2020 and had his psych eval done, and now with COVID, the waiting list is 10 months here in Pennsylvania. I've been using some of your advice. So this is Mrs. R. A lot of the members of my online courses have been left with little to no services in the home. And so if that's the case, if you don't have ABA going, if you are waiting in line, then definitely get my book, but you're probably going to also need to then get my online courses. Many people here have already enrolled in my online courses, and now they're getting the book too. And kids need to be engaged in meaningful activities and making progress most of their waking hours, which is about 100 hours per week. So having a program in place is really important. Do you think kids who are slightly verbal should learn sign language? Anish says that. Not necessarily. I think my courses really stress vocal verbal language, and we do supplement with sign, but my goal is to get kids talking, echoing, saying ball when you say ball, requesting, labeling, saying ball when you say ball, echoics, answering questions, which are called interverbals. So I am not against adding any kind of augmentative system, but what I am against is people relying on that system and not pushing vocal verbal language, which is the easiest for kids and the easiest for adults. So if they are mildly verbal, I would say get in my course and learn how to make them really verbal, and then you won't have to worry about sign. Okay, so my 3-year-old can sing and point to his body parts, but he struggles to answer easy questions and communicate. Can this be a red flag for autism? Okay, so so we have a 3-year-old who can sing and point to his body parts. All right, so let me get a little fancier here if I can figure this out. And I'm gonna bring in my camera and show you how I use the 4-step. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. Like, what is going on? Okay, so 3-year-old sings and can touch his body parts, but he can't answer easy questions. So talking is made up of 4 what we call verbal operants, or expressive language. And the verbal operants were coined by B.F. Skinner in 1957. And that talking and expressive language is made up of mands, which are requests. So requests and tax or labels. So this is when you see a cup or a phone, you label it. This demands are you ask for water because you're thirsty, or you ask for a cookie. And echoics are I say something, you say something, the same thing or close to it. I might say banana, you say nana. That's still an echoic. And then interverbals are the last verbal operant, and they are the hardest always, even for typically developing kids. And this is not for just kids. This is all language, all expressive language, whether you're learning a foreign language, whether you have a typical child, whether you have a child with autism. So the interverbals are answering questions. Okay, so this is going to be the hardest, but 3-year-olds, and it depends if they're just 36 months or if they're 3.5 or closer to 4. The older they get, the more interverbals they will have, or they should have, right? So for the 3-year-old the question is 3-year-old is singing and touching body parts. Now we also have nonverbal operants like receptive language. That would be like touching body parts, Or if you say, give me the banana, following simple demands, come sit here, get your shoes. Okay? So actually singing songs or doing song fill-ins is also an interverbal. So this child can do some interverbal language. So again, there are 4 elementary verbal operants that make up language. So using our 4-step Turn Autism Around approach, we are going to look at assessing, planning, implementing. And so this mom wants to know, is this a sign of autism? It could be a speech delay. It could be early signs of ADHD. It could be nothing. They may be a preemie. They may be need more systematic instruction. Okay, so using the 4-step Turn Autism Around approach, we assess. Okay, so all I know right now is 3-year-old singing, touching body parts, and not answering simple questions. Easy questions, okay? So what this mom needs to do is get my book, get the 1-page assessment, really look at the developmental milestones at the CDC Act Early website, look and see what a 36-month-old should do, or a 40-month-old, or however many months they are, and look and see what they should be doing. There's also an assessment called an interverbal assessment, which was also created by Dr. Mark Sundberg. And what that assessment does, and that's a free assessment, you can just search for that. You can search Mary Autism Interverbals, and I talk more about that in a video blog. But answering questions is not always, like, you might think they're easy, but they're actually more complicated. So singing songs is usually the first interverbal. Twinkle, twinkle, little. Child says star. That's an early interverbal. Then we get to where do you sleep? Or you sleep in another fill in the blank. That's easier than where do you sleep? Gets a little harder. What do you find on a bed? Harder. What is on your bed that is soft or made of feathers? Okay, harder. What is the type of bed you sleep in when you go to your vacation home and you sleep on the top? It's bunk beds, So all of these things get harder, harder, harder. So answering questions is a complicated subject. But what you need to do when you have a 3-year-old that is doing some things, not doing others, you're worried, is you want to do more assessments. And so that's really where I would start and stop, is you would need more assessments to figure out. And then it's not even worth going through making a plan, teaching, and what kind of data you're going to take. Basically, you want to get what are they supposed to be doing, and is there a gap? How big is the gap? And then what kind of plan do we need? And maybe he needs early intervention. Maybe he needs to go to the pediatrician to get checked and on a wait list. There's an MChat form that is reliable, I think, from 16 months to 30 months. So he's probably a little past that. But if he's not checking off all the boxes on the MChat, then I might be concerned as well. All right. And I'm going to answer just a couple more questions if I have any that seem good for everybody. Denise said, my 3-year-old son speaks about 5 words but does not use them every day and does not make a lot of direct eye contact. Will the online course help? Yes, absolutely would help. marybarbera.com/courses for all the information. My daughter's 8 years old, autistic and nonverbal. This book would definitely be helpful, and my courses. Faye said, my nephew is 12 years old. He can talk, however, 1 to 2 words when responding. Yeah, so he is still struggling with speech, maybe with tantrums, sleep, eating, potty training. So while I wrote my book for parents of young children, it is still really helpful for older children who still struggle in these areas. Okay, let me go back to Facebook and see what kind of questions we have here. Aisha, she's from some country, I don't know. She posted the flag. Dolores said, Jonah loves to be in the kitchen with me, playing with water, making cookies, dumping the ingredients into bowls, and even uses the beater with my help. How can I use this as a reinforcement? Well, it sounds like he already is. You already are using it as a reinforcement, because that's great. You know, if he likes it, if he's smiling, if he's laughing, keeping him busy throughout the day. It doesn't have to be like everything has to be a lesson, but you know, you could model cookies or dump or stir. You can count while you're stirring. Just anything to add to the fun is great. Grandma Carol is here. I can't even talk to my son about a haircut without him saying no haircut and getting upset. How do I even ease him into it? Also, any help on parent support groups? I need to talk with other moms who are going through this as well. A really good online support group is called Coop's Troops. It's through Finding Cooper's Voice with Kate Swenson. We have a Facebook group as attached to our course, though, that probably would be good. But our course isn't like just sitting around talking about our problems. We are very much like, I tried this procedure to help with the haircuts. This worked, this didn't work. Chapter 13 of my new book is on doctors, dentists, haircuts, all about desensitization and repairing. So definitely want to get the book. I have in my online courses bonus videos on desensitization. So you might need both. You might need a support group where you can talk to, 3,000. I think there's over 3,000 members there. But then you may also want to join our online course and community to discuss real actionable steps so that can improve the situation. Audi's from Finland. She ordered my book today. Excellent. Okay. Do you only advise on young children with autism? No, my son is 24. I've worked with kids all across the spectrum, all different ages. And if they are still struggling with talking, tantrums, sleep, eating, potty training, desensitization, this book will be helpful. Does your book talk about the connection to the gut and brain? Not really. I do talk a little bit about medical problems, and my son had medical problems that were causing behavioral issues, and I'm a registered nurse and a behavior analyst. So I talk briefly about ruling out medical issues. I feel strongly about that, but my book can't be about everything. It really is an action guide. It's the book I needed back in the late 90s when Lucas was showing signs and diagnosed. It was a book I needed when he was 5 and not potty trained. It was the book I needed when he was 10 and not sleeping through the night in his own bed. It's a book I needed at 14 when he had medical problems, which was causing severe problem behaviors. But it is a behavioral approach. And it's the Turn Autism Around approach, which is based on decades of research and my experiences as a mom, as a nurse, as a behavior analyst. Aisha said, this should be teaching child 4 steps, like step by step. I mean, first, second. The 4 steps of the Turn Autism Around approach are more for the parents to assess and professionals to assess the situation, to plan, to teach, and to evaluate. and then it just keeps looping around. So we're constantly working on improving the situation. There are step-by-steps for the kids as well, like pairing the table, getting your reinforcers, going step by step. Excuse me. Somebody's here from Johannesburg. I do not see Lily Daisy yet. George, my son is 23. He has OCD, washing his hands repeatedly. So we don't really cover that very much. You may want to look at marybarbera.com/28 to hear a podcast with Dr. Murray, who's a psychiatrist. We talk about medications. Okay, so Mile says, can't wait to read the book. Anish said, since I've been listening to you and doing what you say, my nonverbal 5-year-old daughter for the first time imitated a word after I said it. I'm ecstatic about it. Awesome. Well, let's end with that because I like to end on a high note. That's awesome. So don't forget, pre-order your book. Get it now. My first book sold out on pre-order. I don't think that's going to happen, but really want everybody to get it as quickly as possible, read it, and let's build the momentum to get this into as many hands as possible so that each child can reach his or her fullest potential. Go to turnautismaround.com right now for all the details and to pre-order. I'll catch you here tomorrow for another episode of my live session. Have a great one. Bye.